I'm Peter. Welcome to PD Tech for another professional guide.
And I'm Duan. Efficiency is the backbone of any successful trade. Let's look at how to master your digital office today.
Create bank rules to quickly and consistently reconcile statement lines that don't have supplier bills or customer invoices in Xero. You can set up and manage bank rules from the accounting menu, then choose Bank Rules. The Bank Rules page separates your bank rules into 3 categories: Spend Money Rules, Receive Money Rules, and Transfer Money Rules. The Reconcile drop-down takes you to the bank account to reconcile your statement lines. Let's work through some examples to learn how to set up bank rules. First, we'll create a bank rule for fuel expenses. Choose the type of rule at the top of the page. As we're creating a rule for expenses, we'll stay on the Spend Money Rules tab. To create a new rule, click Create Rule. Step 1 tells Xero what it needs to look for on the bank statement, so it knows when to apply the rule. Choose whether Xero should apply the rule when any conditions match or all conditions match. If you choose All Conditions Match, Xero looks at the bank statement line details and only applies the rule if they meet each of the conditions you set. A good way to think about this option is: do I want Xero to apply the rule to statement lines when conditions 1 or 2 or 3 are met? In our example, we buy fuel from various service stations, so we want Xero to apply the rule if a bank statement line meets one condition or another. In this scenario, we'll keep Any Conditions Match chosen. Next, we need to add the conditions we want the statement lines to meet for Xero to apply the rule. Click the drop-down to select a field. You can choose from different options depending on what bank statement information you want Xero to look at. If the condition you want to set is a name or description, we recommend choosing any text field. This is so Xero looks for the condition in all fields that might contain words such as payee and description. It's much more likely Xero applies the rules to all relevant statement lines. In this example, we'll keep any text field chosen. Next, choose a condition from the menu. If you're setting a condition based on text, we recommend choosing Contains, as this allows for slight variances and increases the chances Xero identifies all bank statement lines it should apply the rule to. We'll choose Contains. Finally, add a value. As this example is for fuel expenses, we must enter the name of a service station, for example, Xero. Because we buy fuel from different services, we should add additional conditions, so Xero applies the rule to all stations that might show on the bank statement. To do this, click Add Condition. Then complete the information. For example, we'll add a condition for Texaco, BP, Shell, and Mobil. This means if Xero sees any of these services on the bank statement, it will suggest this rule applies. In step 2, we can set the contact, so Xero adds a contact name for transactions you reconcile using this rule. Click the drop-down menu to choose an option. If you choose During Bank Reconciliation, you'll need to enter the contact information when reconciling. If you choose To an existing or new contact, you'll need to enter the contact name. If you choose from the payee, Xero will take the contact details from the statement line payee. We'll select from the payee, so Xero uses the name of the services which should be in the payee field on the bank statement. Step 3 allows us to tell Xero how to categorize the amounts on the bank statement so we can reconcile the transactions. This step is split into 2 sections. The top section allows you to allocate fixed amounts, to chart of account codes to categorize bank statement lines. The bottom section allows you to allocate percentages of bank statement lines to chart of account codes to categorize them. In our example, we'll use the second section to allocate amounts on the bank statement, as the amount we spend each time varies and should all relate to fuel costs. Enter a description, for example, fuel. Then click the Account field to find the code to categorize the transaction. Type the account name, such as motor, and choose the relevant account. We'll choose motor vehicle expenses for our example. Check the tax rate is accurate for the transaction Xero will apply the rule to. You can choose a better tax rate if needed. In this example, we'll keep the suggested tax rate chosen. If you have tracking set up and you want Xero to allocate transactions using this rule, choose the relevant option in the following field. We'll leave this empty in our example. We'll also keep the percent as 100. Step 4 is to set the reference. Click the drop-down and choose where Xero should copy the reference from the statement line, or select During Bank Reconciliation to manually add a reference when reconciling. We'll choose Reference. Finally, Step 5 allows you to choose the bank accounts to add rule details and give the rule a name. If you have multiple bank accounts in Xero, you can choose to set the rule for an individual account or for all bank accounts. In this example, we'll keep all bank accounts selected. Then, enter a name for the rule to make it easy to find and identify. For example, we'll call this rule Fuel Expenses. Click Save when you're happy with the details of the bank rule. The new rule shows on the Bank Rules page in the relevant tab. If you have multiple rules, Xero checks and applies the rules based on the order they show in this screen. You can drag the rules to order them and control how you want Xero to prioritize the bank rules. In the Reconcile tab of your bank account, you'll see statement lines that Xero has applied bank rules to. If you're happy Xero has applied the correct rule, click OK to reconcile the transactions. Let's take a look at adding another rule. This time, we'll add a bank rule from this bank statement line for the loan repayment. To create a bank rule from a bank statement line, click the Options drop-down, then choose Create Bank Rule. Xero knows which type of bank rule to create based on whether the bank statement line was in the Spent or Received column. If the money was received, Xero will automatically redirect to the Receive Money Rule page. In this scenario, we're on the Spend Money Rule page for our loan repayment. Add the appropriate condition details in Step 1 and set the contact in Step 2, as we saw earlier in the video. In this example, we'll choose All Conditions Match and set the conditions as Payee, Contains, NatWest, and Description equals Loan Repayment and Amount is greater than 750. These conditions mean Xero will only apply the rule when we make a payment of over $750 to NatWest with a description of loan repayment. This is useful because if we pay NatWest a small bank charge, we don't want Xero to apply this rule. In step 2, we'll set the contact to from the payee. Step 3 is where we can split how we want Xero to allocate the bank statement line. We have a bank payment for $758.33, which we need to allocate between loan repayment and interest. First, we'll set the fixed loan repayment using the first section by clicking Add a new line. Enter a description, for example, loan repayment. Then, choose the relevant account. In this example, we'll type loan and choose the correct account from the list. In the amount field, enter the fixed loan repayment. That won't change based on the loan agreement. In this example, we'll enter $750. In our scenario, the bank charges interest on the loan, which changes depending on the loan balance, so we can't allocate a fixed value for interest. Instead, we can allocate the remaining amount of the bank payment to interest using the second section. Enter a description, for example, loan interest, and choose an account such as interest expense. Choose a tracking option if relevant. Then, enter a percentage. We want Xero to allocate the remaining amount to interest, so we'll leave it as 100%. Complete steps 4 and 5 as needed, and click Save to set up the rule. Finally, we'll add a bank rule to teach you how to allocate proportions of bank transactions to different codes. This is useful when you can only claim a set percentage of costs for business, with the remainder being treated as personal. In this example, we pay for a landline telephone that isn't exclusively used for business purposes, so we can only allocate a percentage of the costs as a business expense. On the Create Rule screen of the Spend Money Rule tab, enter the Conditions and Contact details. In this example, we can set the bank rule to apply when all conditions match, with conditions set as Payee contains, Virgin, and the contact set from the payee. Now we'll tell Xero how to allocate the bank payment in step 3. In our example, we can claim 75% of telephone costs for business, and the other 25% is treated as private. In the second section, add a description for the business element of the telephone cost. For example, landline costs, 75% business. Choose an account, such as telephone and internet, check the tax rate, and select a tracking option if relevant. Then, enter the percent you want Xero to allocate. For example, we'll enter 75. Add a new line, then repeat the process, but this time enter the remaining percent treated as private costs. In this scenario, we've added landline costs, 25% private, chosen the account, Owner A Drawings, and entered 25 in the percent column. The total shows 100%, so we know Xero will split the allocation for the total cost in the proportion we've entered. Complete steps 4 and 5 as needed, then click Save to set up the rule. You can edit a rule at any time by clicking into it and making the required changes. It's important to note, Changes don't update transactions you've already reconciled using the rule. Changes will only impact statement lines you reconcile using the rule going forwards. You may need to remove and redo to unreconcile the transactions and reapply the updated rule.